Hi, Alena. Welcome to the Rambling with Ray podcast and to the Venus Guide interview. I'm so happy you're here.
Hey Ray, thanks for having me. I'm really grateful to be here today as well and get interviewed by you.
Thank you. At the Rambling with Ray podcast or at the Venus Guide, we always look at brands and people, but also atmospheres from a new angle. So I'm really excited to. That's why I always call it. A new way of being in the world. So I'm really excited to learn more about your brand. We connected. I've been following you for quite a while and I love what you do. And I'm, so excited to hear more about it today. And we connected about you describing your brand as a house with many rooms, which really resonates with me because I also see what I do in that way. And the Venus Guide is kind of the living room where I talk to people and brand creatives about how they see the world. And tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yes. So yeah, I have the similar metaphor of a casa. So I'm the founder of Casa Figuera, and it's a place, a home for me, like not a physical place, but more a place to combine all my passions. So Casa Figuera, Figuera is fig tree in Catalan. It really symbolizes that connection of Mallorca, a happy place for me, and the fig tree, the fig, the symbol of my favorite fruit. It's a symbol of beauty and pleasure and the sweetness of life. And I love this combination of the casa, the stability, and then the fig tree, like something that's growing. And also the casa, it's a constant process in growth. So it started with some small passion projects of mine that are evolving really organically.
Mhm,
So I'm coming from a background of textile engineering.
mhm.
I started my bachelor's in textile and clothing management and then moved to Berlin. I think that's where we also know each other from.
Yeah.
And did my master's there and in textile technology.
Yeah.
And as we found out, we had this similar, place of studies. And yes, from then onwards, I, immersed myself in the fashion world. I worked for Zalando in the buying department and then also for Breininger. And yeah, all of that was the career path I took after I finished my studies. But during my studies, I went for an internship to China where I
Wow.
explored dyeing techniques and I came in contact with some traditional dyeing techniques and also in weaving and knitting, and also went to Indonesia. So travel was always a big part of my journey as well. And there I went for a semester abroad. So I went there for 6 months to study, and I decided to stay longer to write my bachelor thesis about traditional textiles and batik. I fell in love with indigo and yeah, this amazing blue color, but also all the weaving techniques that exist, like the ikat and songket.
Mhm.
And yeah, I was developing a marketing concept, how to raise more awareness of traditional textiles and to educate about those techniques, about natural dyeing. And
Mhm.
yeah, so
Amazing.
this was a bit of like the seed that was planted,
Yeah.
but life was happening and I really wanted to stay in Berlin. So I went to follow a corporate career. But after a few years, I have decided to follow my heart and to get myself involved in these projects more. So I started my own business. That's Casa Figuera. And so now everything is kind of coming together. During my semester abroad in Indonesia, I also discovered yoga and did my yoga training there, and a Pilates training followed as well.
Hmm.
And so now in Casa Figuera, I combine all of that. So
Yeah.
I'm hosting natural dyeing workshops. I
Okay.
do art myself, so I really specialize with silks. That's my favorite kind of fabric. I usually source them secondhand. And then I do yeah, natural colors, and I share this in workshop formats. Yeah, I do my own workshops on a monthly basis, but then also I get a lot of like requests from private sessions, from like birthday celebrations over brand requests, and then also retreats and hotels reaching out to me.
Hmm.
And also, yeah, the second room next to all the natural dyeing and the textiles and the art is, as I said, the yoga and the mindfulness and movement and Pilates. So yeah, this is going really hand in hand. It's this
Gotcha.
interconnectedness. I think both of those words really benefit from each other.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I thank you so much for sharing all of that. I love how you took us through a little tour there, and you said so many amazing things that I want to touch up on. First of all, Indigo. As you might know, I used to work in the denim industry as well, and I think it's a very fascinating process how it grew and also how Indigo developed over time from being a natural plant dye to being produced in a chemical way, and then also the discussion about what is more sustainable because uh, on the one hand, of course, a natural dye has certain properties that make it biodegradable and unharmful, which is great. On the other hand, you're extracting a plant, right? So especially when someone is scaling on an industry level, they need it fast or they need a lot of it or whatever it is. So I really wanted to ask you about, and I'm really fascinated by indigo and how it fades and ages. So I wanted to ask you about what excites you about indigo, especially, and why this is a color that you like to work with.
Mm. So usually I work with local plants and colors. So indigo was really in my Indonesia times, and now I
Okay.
just returned from Bali. Actually, I spent there 2 months
Mhm.
in winter, and I was working on a little silk dress collection, and there I
Wow.
used indigo as well. But when I'm in Mallorca or in other parts of the world, I usually focus on different plants. So yes, what I like most about indigo is like it's one of those like plants you can dye with. You don't need like the pre-treatments. So it has this color, has all these qualities already inside of it. I think it's so fascinating
Yeah.
that it's like the only color that really kind of yeah, dives into the fibers and fabrics and stays there, and it's just like
Mhm.
creating this magic of yeah, unfolding and lasting. And yeah, I think that's making it really special to
Yeah.
not use any mordants or score the fabric first, but indigo, it's enough to just use the color by itself.
Amazing. That's so cool. Thank you for sharing that. And you mentioned that you like to use local plants. So, for example, I'm in Berlin. What plant would I use? Would I use roses or what would I use?
Yes, yes, roses are like great for dyeing. So I specialized in bundle dyeing, and it's a technique where you can use petals and also food waste and everything to
Mhm.
work with. So, for example, onion skins are amazing to use as well.
Mhm.
But also, as you said, roses right now, a lot of daisies are growing
Mhm.
outside in nature, and I collect and press them. And use them as well for the bundle dyeing. So there you work with steam, and then you can really yeah, use the flowers and things you find in your surroundings as well that kind of carry a color and leave some pigments.
Mhm. Cool. And you mentioned that you collect and press them, so they need to be dried before you can steam them.
No, no, no. You can also use them fresh. Then they're even like, I would say a bit more vivid in
Okay.
color. But to preserve them and to keep them longer, I sometimes press them as well. So now in spring season, of course, a lot of things are blooming
Mhm.
and it's like beautiful to collect and harvest and yeah, keep them for a little longer around. But it's also the interesting process, I think. To really go with the seasons and see what's growing. And it really creates this kind of presence.
Yeah,
So you really go outside for your walks and you explore a little more what's like around you and what's, yeah, just there at this moment.
I love that. I can also imagine that you really need to engage with the plant for a longer amount of time to also have the predictability of knowing how the color is going to turn out, right? Because it's always different.
Yes, also there it's like this yeah, the bundle dyeing process for me, like the most beautiful thing is also it's such a unique process. So this unpredictability is really the thing of letting go of control and
Yeah,
embracing those surprises because it's so hard to kind of copy or recreate
yeah,
pieces that you really love because
yeah.
it's the combination, again, the interconnectedness of the different elements you use
Mhm.
that sometimes they play with each other and then a totally different result is shown. But then also so many factors play into account. So what do you use for mordant and maybe you use a little more or less than you did in the last time, but also like the elements itself, maybe they were exposed more to the sun, so they create different colors. So not always you can really, yeah, predict that, but I think that's the beauty of it, to really be open to what's coming out and enjoy the process itself rather than the outcome. And like I think the most beautiful pieces I've created were the ones I thought at the beginning, oh, I don't like it so much, and then it turned out to be my favorite ones. So also. I think sometimes it's this you have something in your mind and you really want to follow, but when you let it go, you kind of get surprised and can, yeah, create some new favorite things in your life.
I really love how you said that, because I also think it mirrors the process of what you're doing, building a brand with Casa Figuera. Did I say it right? Because last time I said it wrong.
No, that's right.
Okay, perfect. Um, and it's also like the process that I've been in with a story about interconnectedness, where this podcast and other offerings are also a part of. And like you also describe it as this house you move through with the different pillars. And I find it, yeah, very interesting and find it very inspiring what you just said about the dyeing process and how that mirrors the brand building, world building process, because sometimes you have one thing in mind and you start building it, but then along the way you notice, okay, there's other paths to take or things to combine, and then new things emerge that you didn't really think of before. And also in my experience, it's a lot about, and I experience it especially right now. I think we're in a very interesting time of shifts and transformation at the moment, where I feel like it's this constant process of letting go what we thought would be a great idea, but balancing that with sticking with something long enough to turn it into something tangible, right? And then yeah, being open to whatever new emerges from that. Um, so I would really love to know, because as you were speaking now, I was also a little bit surprised, even though I've been following you for many years, because I always thought, oh, you're a yoga teacher, and then everything else kind of came. But now you're telling me no, it was actually kind of the other way around. So that's also so interesting, right? Maybe there's something you want to add, or what something that you want to tell us about, like what shifted your journey. I think you also mentioned about Indonesia quite a few times.
Mhm. Yes, so maybe circling back, I started like with my whole journey.
Yeah.
And now we can go a little bit in more detail and
Yeah.
lower maybe into that so it becomes clear. So, yes, so after I finished my studies, I continued working in fashion and it was a super fast-paced world. And
Mhm.
next to that, I was building my side business with the yoga. So I was living in Berlin, working for Zalando. And then before going to work and after, I was teaching yoga. And it was for me such an amazing balance. Like people always ask me, how are you doing that? But
Yeah.
for me, like teaching yoga gave me so much joy and like being with people and like moving, creating this mindful space was so rewarding
Mhm.
that yeah, I didn't feel like work at that point. But then I realized, like diving more and more into that practice, of course, like that my job in this corporate world that didn't feel so sustainable anymore, and I didn't see myself climbing this corporate ladder. I created for myself already within Zalando, I think the best possible framework I could. Like I had a journey. I started in different teams and then I found my way into the buying team for yoga brands, which I think was like already for me, like the intention at least and the purpose of combining that both. But then I kind of outgrew it and I was like so ready to let go of that version and to step up for myself and be brave enough. To go for it and to yeah just try it out to take this playground
Mhm.
and I had this little gap year
Mhm.
where I really explored myself. I went back to Indonesia again. I did some
Yeah.
natural dyeing there. So Bali in Indonesia is a real place for me for transformation and
Mm.
to come home somehow and get really yeah deep inside of me to see where I want to go and take that time a bit, that space. So I worked there again with an organization. They are called Sinda Bumi Artisans, and they have a studio in Ubud. And yeah, I explored more about bundle dyeing there.
Mhm.
And then I went to Mallorca and I was teaching in some yoga studios, doing some yoga retreats as well. And then I got an amazing job offer from Bräuninger in the e-commerce world again. And at
Yeah.
that time, my ex-boyfriend was living in Germany. So I had that calling to follow that and try it out. But I quickly realized it's like not for me, that path. Like sometimes it's so hard to not get like pulled back in that expectations of society. And of course,
Mm.
so many people, are like this fear-based and like safety-based yeah, versions of themselves, which is totally fine. But of course, sometimes you get yeah, a little drawn into that as well. But
Of course.
yeah, I stayed there for 1 year until I found that strength again to yeah, stand up for myself and to yeah, follow my dreams. So now doing yeah, a bit more than 1 year, Casa Figuera full time,
Mhm.
and it has been the most expansive year so far for me.
Amazing.
But yeah, it's so fulfilling, and I'm yeah learning so much more about myself, about the brand, of course, everything that I'm building. I'm meeting amazing people in that yeah phase of life that are like in similar stages and supporting, and yeah, so I'm really grateful for this journey right now. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so happy that you mustered up the courage to do that. And I think what you're saying is very interesting because, of course, I have had similar experiences going back, quote unquote, into that societal safety net that has been built up until now. And I think in so many ways, we can see it crumbling and building and falling apart, and people building new nets of safety, like you are building with your brand and your house and your casa, which I think is so interesting because also like this sort of safety that has been built and been used up until now is also just an illusion because also the company can go bankrupt the next day. You can lose your job the next day, you know, whatever it is. So I find it so interesting, and this is what I really want to build this space for. Like, how can we build new systems of safety where we can really become our own authority and, you know, make our own decisions. And I really believe this is also what the Age of Aquarius is about, but this is another topic. But it's really about because Aquarius is always about individualization, but also the collective. And I think there's a big misunderstanding about being an individual and how you contribute to the collective, right? And I think the misunderstanding is a little bit about like this ego thing. It's all about me and I have to be well and I don't care about what happens around me. I don't think it's like this at all. I think it's really about focusing on what brings me joy, what expands me, like what you've been saying, that yoga, even though it was a side job, right? And it was on top of probably what I'm expecting to be a full-time occupation. And people might expect, oh, then you work even more. But it, like you said, it brought you so much joy and so much energy that then contributed to the strength to, you know, leave a certain sense of safety behind. So I really think that the Age of Aquarius, or how I see it, is really about focusing in on what am I really good at, or like how people always say, like, what is my purpose, or like my, what am I supposed to serve? And then really contributing that to the collective in a way that benefits everyone. So yeah, to come back to our space together, this is really why I want to open up the space to explore new models of building a brand or building a world in that sense. So you already took us through the dyeing workshop of the house. Let's call it like that. And you also took us a little bit through the yoga shala. And I know there's some more rooms. You're also wearing a beautiful piece of it right now. So maybe you want to talk a little bit about what else we can find at Casa Figuera.
Yes, that's the newest launch. Yeah, so the Casa Figuera merch, the essential line, just dropped, and that's a project together with my mom.
Mhm.
And yeah, so we created three different pieces, the Casa Figuera undyed, unbleached
Wow.
line.
Mhm.
And it's organic cotton and it's produced in Portugal. And yeah, it has this cream natural cotton color with the brown stitching of Casa
I love
Figuera. And it's just a beautiful souvenir
Mhm.
of the casa, the world I'm creating.
I love that. It looks really beautiful. Can you step back a little bit so we can see it?
Sure. Lean back or get a
I
little
love
higher.
it. And I love how you layered it too. Really cool.
Yeah, I saw you too, right? Love layering the raw ends.
Yes, I do. I was like, I'm wearing the wrong thing today, anyways.
Next time you need one as well.
Yes,
I should send you
definitely.
Casa Figuera top.
I would love that. I would really love that. It looks really amazing, and I love how you chose the stitching. It's unique, but also, yeah, it's called the Essential Collection, right? So it's,
Yeah.
I love how you balance that. Um, Coming to almost the end of our conversation together, of course, if there's anything else you want to share, where we can find you next, you mentioned you're also hosting some spaces like retreats, so maybe there's something coming up here. But other than that, I always ask my guests a few questions. One of them is, what does beauty mean to you? And I think you already mentioned the fig. So maybe you want to connect it back to that. Yeah.
Mhm. Okay, maybe circling back one more time to the casa and to get into a bit more the rooms, just to add on
Mhm.
next to the merch collection. Also, there's another project. It's the meditation pillows we're doing. And then also in Bali, I was working now on a silk dress collection. This will be launching in May, beginning of May.
Okay.
So I'm really excited about that.
Me too.
So, yeah. And yes, coming to your question, what does beauty mean to me? Yeah, you already circled it right. The fig, I think it's the symbol of beauty. So, yeah, this fruit is just the symbol of like pleasure of life, the sweetness, yeah, the sweet taste of it, and also the softness and the slowness it takes to ripe. I think that is just all the characteristics that symbol of beauty means to me.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that makes it also very Venusian, so very on brand here. And I love also, or what I'm thinking of, like you mentioned, the slowness. And I think it's also about this trust, right? That something sweet will turn out, even, yeah, even if sometimes things take a little longer than maybe we've learned that they're supposed to
Mhm.
take. Um, so, since we love slowness and all things pleasurable in the body at Venusian Pleasures and the Venus Guide, one thing that makes or yeah creates that experience for me is reading. Obviously, that's why I intended to make this a magazine, but now it's a podcast. But what do you love to read? Do you have a favorite book, and why?
Mhm. So I was just rereading one book, and that usually doesn't happen often. So
Okay.
from Deborah Levy. Do you know her? The
Yes.
Cost of Living. It's one of my favorite books. I think it's just so beautiful how this quiet strength is kind of described in it, and it's about this reinvention, this no.
You can say it in German.
Unabhängigkeit,
Interdependent.
interdependency,
Yeah.
interdependency. Now I
Yeah.
got it. Of woman, just this like modern role, this autonomy of a woman, how it's described in there,
Mhm.
and also how she's romanticizing this like everyday moments. Yes,
Cool.
I really like that book.
Think I'm gonna go get it right after this interview. Sounds
Yes,
amazing.
you should.
And I also love that you mentioned the meditation pillows that you're doing because I think that's something you can really take into any space. And the Venus Guide is also about the intention of space and the atmosphere of space. So we obviously talked about Bali a lot, but maybe there's one cafe or restaurant or hotel lobby or whatever that you really, really like that you love to return to, or maybe it's a yoga studio. Yeah, is there a favorite space you can name for us?
I can name two, maybe. There's a favorite place in nature for me, for sure.
Okay.
It's in Mallorca, Bethlehem. I love to go there when I seek inspiration in nature.
Hmm.
And then one hotel in Mallorca, Esraco, has the most beautiful meditation hall, and I love to be there. It's such a grounding space for me. And of course, the whole design and architecture, but also the natural surroundings.
Hmm.
Yes.
Cool. Thank you so much. That sounds gorgeous. I'm gonna check it out and also link it for everyone who also wants to check it out. Yeah, thank you so much, Alena, for sharing your story with us. I really appreciate it. And I can't wait to see, yeah, where everything is gonna go. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Ray, for having me.